Hello, everybody. My name is Professor Faizan Ali. We are having a wonderful panel today, and the topic of the panel is Educating the AI-Ready Workforce, Reimagining Business Curriculum for the Age of Intelligent Systems. It's a power-packed panel, and the panel in today's session will be exploring how business schools can prepare graduates to thrive in an era where artificial intelligence is shaping every industry. As we know, AI is becoming embedded into decision-making, creativity, and organizational strategy. The question is no longer about whether students should learn about AI or whether we should redesign the curriculum or teaching methods or mindsets to build an AI-ready workforce. Our panel in today's session will bring together leading scholars and practitioners to discuss the skills, ethics, and human-centered capabilities that will define the future of business education. So without further ado, let me bring in our first panelist in the session. We with us have got Dr. Amani Al-Abid. She is an assistant professor and AI researcher at the University of Doha for Science and Technology, holding a PhD from Newcastle University in United Kingdom. She explores how AI shapes human behavior, specializing in conversational AI, user AI relationships, and psychological impact of intelligent systems. With nearly a decade of experience across academia and industry, she leads research on empathy, trust, and decision-making in AI interactions while designing AI capability programs for universities, entrepreneurs, and organizations. Welcome, Amani. Now I'm going to introduce our next panelist, and that is Dr. Conrad Coelho, who is an associate professor in digital and AI marketing at University College London. Conrad's research straddles contemporary issues in online world, emerging technologies, and impactful pedagogical approaches in marketing education, and which is so important in today's world. Conrad is pursuing Perplexity AI's business fellowship to support AI business initiatives. He serves as the co-lead for the UK Academy of Marketing's AI, Innovation and Emerging Tech Strand. Conrad was recently awarded the UK Academy of Marketing's Teaching Excellence Award 2025 for his thought leadership in ensuring marketing and education remains at the forefront of technological advancements. Conrad is also committed to supporting local businesses and was involved in delivering the UK government's Help to Grow management course for small businesses. He also served as a digital marketing mentor for UKRI-funded Growing Kent and Medway project. Welcome, Conrad.
Thank you so much.
Let me bring in our third speaker, and that is Dr. Atiye Puishne, who is currently an associate professor of marketing at California State University, Bakersfield, California, USA, which is very early in the morning, right? Atiye received her PhD from the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. She holds a degree in Bachelor of Science, Computer Engineering Software, and Masters in Industrial Engineering. Her main research interests are consumer psychology of interactive technology, including artificial intelligence, generative and agentic AI, digital humans, augmented reality, virtual reality, and robots. Her research has been published in several leading journals in the likes of European Journal of Marketing, Journal of Retailing and Consumer Services, Journal of Consumer Behavior, and Journal of Consumer Marketing. Welcome, Atiye.
Thank you.
And last but not the least, my dear friend, Professor Katrina Wolchek, who is a professor of digital transformation with a strong focus on technological innovation for business strategy, marketing, and research methods in the context of tourism. Dr. Katrina's experience spans a cross-disciplinary approach of combining the theories and AI-driven tools alongside values and ethics to generate innovative solutions. Her work sits at the contemporary knowledge from cognitive psychology, management, marketing, and neuroscience, and with such technologies that are likes of AI agents, robotics, mixed reality, virtual reality, augmented reality, biosensors, and environmental sensors. Her research on generative AI, personalization, metaverse, and marketing analytics, done in collaboration with the leading tourism and tech experts, has been published in several leading international journals and has been presented at leading international conferences. Welcome, Katrina.
Thank you, Faizan.
Wow, that's a power pack and a mouthful. So quite an amazing panel that we have with us. So first of all, thanks to all of you for agreeing to be on this panel. And as we progress in the panel very quickly, just for the sake of audience, I'll very quickly explain how the panel is going to work. So I will, as I introduced all of you, we will directly go into individual insights. I'll frame a couple of questions for each one of you, and then you can answer those questions. That would lead us to our round two, which would be more open discussion about the topics that arise from round one. And in the end, we'll end the panel with a lightning round, which would really be a very quick couple of questions, maybe a sentence worth of the answer from all four of you. So if you are ready, I'm ready, and we can start. So my first question, as I introduce the panelists, Dr. Amani, to you is, in your opinion, how is AI currently reshaping the expectations placed on business graduates?
Right. So for this question, I had 2 points I wanted to raise. The first thing is that looking at the industry, first thing we would want to look at is how is AI adopted in the industry. Over the past year, we've seen that the usage has almost doubled, and this is according to the stats that we are seeing. So according to the last Wharton AI, generative AI adoption report, we've seen that over 82% of business leaders are now using generative AI weekly. So in that sense, we are saying here that employers, as you mentioned, are not asking anymore if we know AI, so for the business graduates, but they're asking if we are able, as graduates, to lead where AI is already operating. So we're expecting now business graduates to go into a place where AI is already adopted, and they are expected to know how is it that they can work around it. So if we look at the skills that we were emphasizing on over the past year, we will see that we were talking a lot about prompt design, how we can use generative AI tools, and how we can integrate AI into our workflows. But these are now becoming baseline, and they are not optional, especially if we look at different sectors, for example, like finance, technology, and these kind of services. So before, we would say, for example, that students were expected to go into the job market, trying to see how they can build a financial model. Right now, you would see that the expectations are moving into how these graduates are able to interpret these AI-generated forecasts and say, what are the contextual factors? So, for example, we have politics, we have regulations, any kind of consumer sentiment that is missing from the models. So in that sense, if we are saying that AI can do the analysis, what is there left for humans to do? And I think this is the expectations now for students. The second point I have here that I noted down is that we are also seeing this kind of gap between what the universities are teaching and what the industry is having. So universities are teaching mostly AI ethics, AI societal impact, and so on. But you would see that job recruiters are emphasizing the technical skills. So they're emphasizing, for example, SEO optimization, A/B campaign testing, and so on. And the gap here is, I was looking at a research paper that was saying there's 3.7% of point divergence. In that sense, we are not teaching students what they need to have or what they need to expect when they are in the job market. So there is this kind of discrepancy between what the universities are doing and what the employers are asking for.
All right. Thank you so much. Those are quite interesting points. I'll go to Dr. Conrad. As Amani did mention about the gap between university and industry and different type of skills that are needed in different sections, right? In your opinion, since you have all this experience leading research centers and all those things that we mentioned in your bio, how do you see the reshaping of these expectations towards the business graduates or even researchers in the business field?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Faizan. And thank you, Amani, as well. I will adopt the same approach. I'll speak about the industry first, and then I'll speak, some specifics about, how universities can tailor their approach. Now, again, every week, begins with a new headline about AI replacing entry-level jobs, for example. I was looking at some data from LinkedIn itself, which says that economic, the graph showing that about 70% a year-on-year rise in job openings requiring AI literacy. And again, to support that, there is evidence, again, from Stanford that indicates a drop in entry-level hiring for AI-exposed roles such as coding and customer service. So these were the entry-level tasks that typically, new starters would cut their teeth into, but these are now so easy for AI to automate. So this is where employers, educators, and policymakers have now to rethink about how will people begin their careers, and how do we equip this generation for success in this new world. And there are various approaches that we can adopt. So if AI can produce a college essay, we have to now think, right, what AI cannot do, and make learning relationship rich, and more human, demanding reasoning that must be spoken, probably revised, probably defended. So we need to then aim on building judgment, perhaps synthesis, interpretation under pressure. These are the kind of resilient capabilities, that AI cannot measure. Because AI cannot measure, AI cannot then replicate, right? So these are some areas we can probably focus on. One approach that I have seen to be successful is through authentic learning experiences. This is where students use live AI tools, not just to complete tasks, but also to evaluate, how automation then can change and enhance decision making. So we can then frame these activities, through systems thinking, for example, helping students see AI not as an isolated tool, but probably, part of a wider social and organizational ecosystem. Again, the goal that we have adopted, is to cultivate curiosity, reflection, ethical discernment, and then we've also identified certain emerging frameworks. And one of this is, again, there's an ISO standard, ISO 42000, which focuses on, the implementation of AI in enterprises. And this does well, this aligns very well with our approach, again, because it emphasizes governance, it emphasizes transparency, and most importantly, the responsible use of AI. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Conrad. This is quite a lot to obviously tackle, and obviously you navigated it very beautifully about all these different aspects of it. Let me move to Dr. Atiya. So, Atiya, you are representing US here, right? Because you are coming from California State and US. Now, my experience in US business schools has always been that the business schools and US universities are very isolated. Whereas when I look at business schools and European universities, they are working very well with other departments. In fact, like there are huge research centers that bring people from different disciplines and all that, right? In your perspective now, the graduates at your university, specifically, or the universities that you visit in the US, how do you see these expectations are kind of changing, or is there any change in the expectations of business graduates in this domain?
Thank you. AI is transforming learning experience and human experience and expectation. It's a very powerful tool. So it is expected students and graduates are be familiar with machine learning algorithms, some data analytics, coding, and one of aspect of the generative AI is that it's prompt based. It works and generates output based on user prompt. So one thing that can be used is to criticize the output generated by AI, because AI generates the outcome, but it's not always correct. So one of the aspects of AI is to criticize the outcome generated by AI using the AI in a proper manner and also in a responsible manner and ethical manner, because AI lacks ethical aspect. So it is expected to use AI and be familiar with using AI and algorithm and subset of AI such as natural language processing and machine learning, and also criticize the outcomes and using AI in order to enhance the role, enhance the performance.
All right. Thank you very much, Atiye. So last but not the least, again, I will come back to Professor Katrina. As you see, we had this interesting insight into, what Amani said initially about the skills and the university industry gap, and then Conrad kind of along the same lines talked about how we can make it more authentic for students to really embed AI into the curriculum, but not in a way that it shows like you're slapping it on the face of students, right? Kind of that. And then Atiya obviously talked about the specifics of it. In your opinion, Katrina, and again, I know that you came from a university that was very specifically teaching focused, that we had a discussion, right? Not so much research, but then you also work in research sector. So how do you see reshaping of these expectations placed on business graduates?
Thanks, Faizan. First of all, I totally agree with all previous ideas. What I can add from my side are two things. Also, from the point of view of the industry, what we observe is that industry is still very uncertain about what AI is. And there is still the moment of hype where everyone is talking not about the benefits of AI and the concrete applications, but about the need to integrate AI without clearly defining the reasons. And I think these hype and this confusion currently shapes expectations towards the graduates and their skills. And what it's possible to observe are attempts to hire people who are proficient in coding and prompting, then fire them, then substitute people, then trying and failing. So it's my best understanding that industry is still also elaborating what they actually need in terms of the new skills. And if we look from the point of view of the graduates, they are facing an interesting but very difficult task. On the one hand, they have, in a short-term perspective, as it's already been discussed, they need to be able to correctly and effectively and efficiently use AI tools, which are available right now. Second, they need to be able to become strategists in a mid-term and long-term perspective, because the world is changing very quickly. The tools are changing very quickly. And to be competitive, it's often when young minds, innovative minds, sometimes with bold ideas, would be able to offer innovative solutions to their possible employers. This is what they are capable of doing with a proper strategic skills, so that we don't substitute human intelligence with artificial intelligence.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. So, wow. So this again, now it brings me back to another, crossroads of confusion. So you bring a good point of saying that the industry in itself is not very certain about AI, and there's a hype and there's a wow factor, still a honeymoon phase about this AI, right? So great. Now, I'll take this discussion back to Dr. Conrad. So because you work with UK government's policy and other bodies in that matter, and then small medium enterprises or small businesses and stuff like this. In your opinion, when you look at your students, you look at what's going on in the industry, are there any specific skills or mindsets that you think would define the AI ready workforce?
Yeah, thank you, Faizan. Again, I would again, like to build on Katrina's point of having the strategic thinking, which I also called as a systems thinking perspective. That the students really need to understand, more than tools, and not be relevant or not be reliant on tools. Tools will change. It's important to know tools, but tools will change, right? So understanding the strategic perspective definitely is important. That is where AI education cannot be confined to a single module. It has to be embedded across disciplines. So all areas of business, be it marketing or HR or finance, will have use of these tools, and will also test how students can use this for their decision making. And really, the systems thinking perspective is what we think will help students understand that AI influences not just efficiency, but also fairness, sustainability, and strategy. All of these are impacted. Lastly, I'd just like to say also that this interdisciplinary framing is really required for them to adapt and lead, within this complex environment. Yeah. So that is what I feel we should focus on.
Okay, thank you very much, Conrad. So let me go to Amani. You, from your profile, I know that you train a lot of young people, entrepreneurs and students and all that, right? So if I ask you the same questions, like how would you define AI-ready workforce? How would you do that? I mean, is there any specific things, some generic things? What is it?
Yes. So I would like to echo as well Professor Katerina's point on how the industry is taking it, in a sense that they don't know what they are doing with AI. They just want to do it just for the sake of it, or because they are under pressure to do it. But if we look at what's happening in industry, and I did talk about this a couple of months ago with the Boston Consulting Group, they were saying that when businesses try to adopt AI at a pace where they are just using AI everywhere, the focus there is lost. And then again, this translates onto employees, that they are not aware of what is it that they would need to do. In that sense, you would see here that the AI initiatives are not taking proper, or they are not translating into proper ROIs. In that sense, when we are looking at the workforce that is AI ready, we would want to see people that are able to evaluate what would be a good AI initiative and what would be something that is good to have, but it's not something that will contribute to our business strategy. So in that sense, I believe that the industry is looking for, and this is part of what I try to do in my training, is that we try to shift the focus on what is it that you can do with AI that is going to contribute to your business objectives. In that sense, you would want people that are able to see what are the ones that will bring them the highest return on investment, what are who are the people that are able to challenge the outputs of AI, because as you mentioned, that the AI logic is sometimes flawed. In a sense that it is very confident in how it presents the output that it has, but you would still be able to find someone, and that is the person that should be AI ready, that is able to point out the logical flaws that these systems are having. So in that sense, you would be looking at people that are able to spot these kind of missing factors that the AI is not providing, and not just rely on AI passively.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So I'll take this conversation to Atiye. You did mention earlier in your previous answer about prompt engineering and about machine learning and stuff like this, very specific skills that, it can help the business graduates and stuff like that. Now, the same question goes for you, right? Skills. Are there any specific skills that would define AI-ready workforce? And if I go further into this question, which obviously Conrad and Amani did touch on this, to say, like, there is this AI, but we need people who would understand these skills and how to use AI to their benefit, or think strategically, or system thinking and all that. Do you think that we should focus more deeper on the skills related to AI, or should we develop some skills that would bridge whatever we know about AI and whatever we know about business? Like, what do you think about this?
I think we need to focus on both aspects to leverage AI, because AI lacks some human components, such as emotional intelligence. And a meaningful AI or AI-ready workforce goes beyond using AI for automation and data analytics and content creation. It needs to add value to human experience and people experience. And it needs to add insight to the output generated by artificial intelligence. So some of the human components are missing in AI. For example, ethical aspect lacks ethical aspect. Affective empathy is another one. Emotional intelligence and critical thinking. So we need to leverage AI in order to add value to the insightful AI.
All right, thank you. Katrina, coming back to you, because your previous point led the conversation come a full circle back to you. And I take from what Atiye said, that, currently AI is missing the human element and the emotional element and all that, right? So in your opinion, what skill set would be more important? Like, for instance, I see there's a lot of discussion now in the AI world about making AI more emotional or more empathetic or stuff like that. So should we kind of follow that bandwagon and take our business graduates towards that to kind of, how we can make the AI more empathetic? Or should we say that AI is what it is and we need to give our students more training on empathy and humanness so that they can leverage whatever is coming from AI and provide better services and, staying at the top of the line in terms of ROI?
Well, that's a perfect question. I will try to build on what Conrad and Amani and Atiya have already said. I remain at the certain stage and the current stage of AI development while we are still talking about AI, not general intelligence. Let me separate those two things, okay? Because what we are now observing, AI still being a tool. We don't know when we are going to reach general intelligence and what it will be capable of doing. This is something still a little bit the future, exciting future. So at this moment, personally, after teaching and seeing my graduates performing, I remain a fan of problem-based learning, which is very much echoing the business approach. And this is where we need to combine the search for solutions to address specific problem. This is system thinking, this is strategy-based thinking, and this is also where what Amani emphasized so well fits, that we need to be able to strategically feed AI, relevant AI tools, and then check their performance in the process. So first of all, it's my belief that students should be able to wherever subject we're talking, whether it's economics, whether it's management, whether it's business innovation, whether it's marketing, they should be able to envision a successful strategy, how it should be, same as it was a decade ago or 2 decades ago, according to the market and business and world requirement. And then what will be important for the short-term perspective is that they can search among the tools, including AI tools, which are best to integrate to make the process of implementing it more effective and efficient. And of course, cross-checking that it's done correctly. Mm-hmm. So I would say that I still believe in this human driven approach. Mm-hmm. What is important is that for decades, our education was built on, or our life was built on steps. We have education, then we work, then we retire, full stop. And I also strongly believe that this is something that we have to change in the mindset of our students and graduates. Mm-hmm. In this world, they have to learn to be continuous, everyday learners and observe what's going on. And it's not that much about probably coding skills because, ChatGPT can code now if a person can clearly articulate what they expect. But defining what drives businesses, what drives success, having a vision of what can do that, this is still something AI is far from.
Right. Perfect. So, okay, great. Now, again, your answer is detailed, Katrina, and it gives me way for my next question, which maybe I can go with Atiya this time, because she did mention some specific skills and stuff, Atiya, in your opinion, right? And I'll link back to what Katrina earlier said, that I'm a big fan of problem-based learning, which I myself do a lot in my classes. How do you think that the business education should move beyond just teaching the tools? Because right now, whatever is happening, and I've attended many workshops in different universities in US and Asia and in Europe, where they say how to use AI for your work, how to use AI for teaching, how to use AI for research. But at most, what they do is they'll just teach you how to click the softwares, like how do you click, what do you click, right? Like how do you use ChatGPT, how do you use Perplexity, how do you use this, how do you... How do you think, like, how can we move this business education beyond just teaching tools and softwares and really more about thinking or AI thinking or AI-based thinking or whatever?
I think if we can use AI to bridge the gap between conceptual and abstract concept and practical experience or practical implication, it can help us, it can help our students, or it can help us to have like experiential learning, and by providing or projects, hands-on experience for students, it can help us to bridge the gap.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Conrad, how would you think about this? Because you brought a lot of stuff. So what I liked about your answer earlier, you did mention about strategic thinking and systems thinking and all that, which is broad, it's generic concepts, right? So in something very specific like AI, right? Like I said, most of the teaching is about tools and, not really at broader terms. So how can we move beyond that just clicking and ticking situation?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Faizan. Again, you mentioned also about the Teaching Excellence Award I received. Now, that was for embedding a tool because, one of the challenges, again, that we face as educators is that tools keep changing, but at the same time, the industry requires our graduates to know these tools, right? So that is the balance that we have to kind of maintain, ensuring that our students know the tools, but at the same time, having that resilience. And again, one concept here that probably I would mention, which we are also acquainted with, is probably metacognitive learning, where students, or we are trying to help students to think about how they think, right? And again, this was also raised that, probably they can analyze and they can critique, an AI-generated output. So it's not just about clicking, but also once we have that output, okay, what are the questions? What are the assumptions? What could be the limitations? What are the ethical dimensions to this output, right? So that kind of metacognitive learning, is something that would be useful to them as they build their careers, focusing probably on embedding reflection, self-regulation, again, with the objective of, having analytical rigor, moral imagination, right? So all of this, I feel, would remind students that that creativity, that empathy, cannot be replaced, even in this time when the world is being dominated by these intelligent systems.
Thank you. Amani, let me come to you on this one. So again, there are so many good topics and concepts that are being discussed, like this metacognitive learning and system design and stuff like this. Again, I would say that because I'm very interested in what you have to say, since you do these trainings and AI readiness and stuff like that, right? Earlier, I mentioned most of the business schools, what they're doing is they're doing workshops. So you see that there's a move towards that direction, kind of, equip people with some kind of stuff. However, if I think about, let's say, 8 to 9 years ago, many business schools, they started moving towards something called analytics, data analytics, business analytics, stuff like that, right? And what happened was, all of a sudden, you see this influx of students who studied computer science coming into analytics programs. So they were far apart from what the business acumen is, right? They were really technical, but not applied in that sense. Where do you think we are going with this AI readiness? Or let me phrase it. Do you think we would achieve something called meaningful AI business education?
Yeah. So yes, reflecting on that point, I did I still do them. So the workshops on how we can use AI tools and so on, but we have to start from the basics, because if users are not able to use these AI tools or know how to navigate them, we cannot progress to the second stage. So in that sense, it is somehow about teaching participants how they can use the tools, but as you mentioned, and as the panelists also were mentioning, here we're trying to see how we can elevate this experience from merely having the AI reward participants or the users on their mechanistic, I would say, tasks. So having them, say, for example, do a type of analysis or apply a certain formula and so on, because this is what they do very well. So this is what machines do very well. So they use frameworks at speed and so on. So if we keep training people to only do these tasks through AI, humans will be left behind, because we cannot compete with the speed of machines or the processes that they are taking and so on. So in that sense, meaningful education, I would say, in terms of AI would be allowing participants or users to question whether AI should be used at all, whether the problem was framed correctly, because you can converse with the AI as much as you want, but if you cannot frame the problem properly, then you cannot assume that the output is perfect. Maybe it's giving you the output based on how you ask the question, but it could be asked through a different lens and so on. So this is basically, I think, one of the ways of how we can say that AI education should take place. It's where people are able to move from the general education of AI literacy and then to the technical courses. So how they can have hands-on proficiency development, and then how they can practically work on different disciplines. So in accounting, so how can they do, for example, fraud detection, anomaly detection? And these are cases that we've seen over the past decades. I think these are not new. But how we are able to see that through the lens of AI, that we're conversing with it, that's something different.
Okay, thank you so much. Katrina, coming back to you on this one, right? So we did talk about meaningful AI and how we can make it meaningful across disciplines and all those type of things. In your opinion, AI or generally technology, the speed at which it's developing is also enormous. It's huge. Like, I mean, every day there's something new happening. And I feel like many business schools are just chasing this, right? So again, when we talk about these skills and we talk about AI readiness and all those things, what I'm realizing is that the moment we kind of try to get a hold of what's going on, then there's something new. So is it a mirage, like calling it AI readiness, or is it something like, achievable, or is just we are all running after a red light?
I think we are all running after the red light, and we are all lagging exactly because of this speed of development. And I think what is important is that we honestly acknowledge this to our students, that something we're teaching them right now is the best, how it should be, it's the best current knowledge and current tools and current wisdom we have. But to be very honest, and that's what I'm not afraid anymore to say to my students, that when they graduate, things we're discussing right now might be already irrelevant, or some of them. What will remain, there will be probably big trends and big principles. Recently, Germany forced me to retake my driving test because my Belarusian driving license was not approved. And I realized that the approach to this exam is actually very balanced. There is a little bit of tech things about the car, a little bit of rules, must do, must not do, and then the core principles which can be applied to whatever country, whatever car, and whatever road, regardless of where people are. And they're international and universal, and they're not changing. And I thought this is something we can actually apply to teaching AI, because one thing we need to explain to the students are the principle, how it works. What is the difference between supervised, unsupervised learning? What is a large language model? Because right now we see over-reliance on ChatGPT and its siblings. Mm-hmm. And people trust it while don't trust human intelligence. Yeah. So explaining the big principles, what is the difference between these approaches to AI? What are we heading to in terms of general intelligence, so that they can pick up it from where it is and where it goes. There will be some rules to do or not to do. Do not copy paste, do not generate references, do not generate fake things and put the money of your business on the fake things. Check, as Amani stressed, check the results of AI. They are the rules. And then there are some universal techniques that they will be able to apply in the future.
Thank you so much, Katrina. I really like that answer of the tiered kind of skills and stuff like that. Conrad, let me come back to you on this one very quickly. What Katrina said, right? And I kind of agree that there should be a baseline universal skill set and then build up context specific skills and all that. Since you work with the government, you worked on the policy, you worked with the businesses and all that. In order to achieve something like that, what is the role of industry in making this AI education practical and kind of somewhat future-proof?
Yeah, thank you so much, Faizan. Yeah, again, as Katrina and panelists have mentioned, the tiered learning, because again, this was my experience as well with marketing. When I did my post-graduation, it was just marketing, and then I did my PhD when it was social media marketing. So the technology, took marketing one step further, and then of course we had digital marketing and social media marketing, and now we have AI marketing, right? So, but again, when we teach digital marketing, we always need to refer to the principles of marketing, right? Why do we do marketing? What is the focus of marketing? And how can digital channels enhance marketing? And same with the AI tools, right? So we first students need to understand, and we need to explain to them, why does marketing exist, right? What is the role of marketing? And then how can these AI tools, really play a role in enhancing, those marketing efforts? So that was just, to get in a marketing perspective and my experience, how I have seen this evolving from marketing to digital marketing and now AI marketing. And coming specifically to your questions, yes, industry, of course, partnerships with industry are vital. They really help to connect, the theory, the academic theory and the real world complexity. In my experience as well, I have, worked with AI startups. I am doing the Perplexity as well from the learning perspective. Also, when it comes to web designing, I have another collaboration with Wix, because Wix, WIX, is the web design platform that now is also using conversational AI. So definitely, all of these partnerships are aimed at bringing that, that authentic learning I spoke about, where we can ensure that our students, are already experiencing, professional realities. And really, these collaborations can make AI education, the AI-focused education more tangible, and still, ensure that students have that strategic and relational perspective that I spoke about, in the new workplace. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Conrad. This is great. Atiya, let me come to you on this one, right? So I know that in the US, for example, we really do infuse a lot of industry partnerships into the class, bring the industry people into the class, talk to students, semester-long projects, this and that. So I have the same question for you, what I asked of Conrad. In order to make this AI-ready workforce, or in order to at least, run after this objective, how important do you think the industry is, especially that we earlier talked about that industry itself is not sure of what AI is or what should we do with it?
Thank you. For example, my discipline, for the marketing, they need to learn about how AI can be used for example, content creation, for social media, for measurement, for advertising. So it can help students to just compare what AI performs and how it can effectively create marketing plans compared to what the human can create a marketing plan. So it can also provide guidelines for students. They can track and they can learn and monitor the performance of the AI and also their own marketing plan.
Thank you very much, Atiya. I appreciate that. So Amani, let me come to you, with another similar question. So we did discuss a little bit about, the industry and all that. in your opinion, and especially you are coming from the Middle East, right? So that's something we don't hear a lot about. Most of the time we talk about technological advancements, look at Europe or North America, or kind of that. What kind of cultural or institutional barriers do you think exist that can prevent for business schools or universities adapting quick enough to kind of make students AI ready?
So yeah, I think that's a very spot on question. I would say most of the cases that we hear about in terms of AI successful deployment, AI training successful deployment, and how business schools are actually around the world using it are coming from the Western world. So they're not coming from other. I wouldn't say that we see strong ones coming from other parts of the world, and I think this creates a lot of issues when you want to localize these kinds of initiatives in other schools. I would see a lot of the barriers would happen first at the college level, I would say, or leadership level, because you would see that leaders might not be very people in leadership are not very prepared in terms of saying that we would want to use AI. We are pro using AI, but the orchestration of how these trainings happen usually don't go as planned. You would see that some faculty might be having initial attitudes or pre-existing attitudes towards AI. Some of them might feel like AI will take over their jobs. Other people might be very excited, but there is not a lot of training on site, so you wouldn't see that they have the capabilities to be prepared and so on. Another thing I would say is that a lot of people in these schools are mostly focused on how they can create policies on cheating, plagiarism that have to do with AI, but the focus is mostly there and not on how they can upskill themselves in that field and so on. So I think a lot of barriers happen in different places, but mostly it has to, or basically it has to come from the top. So you would need to make sure that leadership is on the same page. They already have the resources available, whether that should be in having mandatory workshops that faculty would need to attend, or they would give them the resources and so on. So it's a big question, I would say.
Of course. And I'm sorry putting you on the spotlight with that question. Of course, asking you cultural and institutional barriers, absolutely. Well, I can't believe myself. We are 47 minutes into this panel. So what I'll do is, as we are coming to an end to this panel, and obviously I'm so grateful to all of you for answering all these questions wonderfully. I have one question. It's kind of lightning round, so very quick if all four of you can answer very fast. And what I'll do is, in order to make it easy, I'll put the question here in the bottom. What's one mindset or capability today's students must unlearn to truly thrive in AI-driven business world? So maybe, Katrina, we can start with you very quickly. What do you think?
That's a perfect question. What they must unlearn. I think they must unlearn two things. Learning by heart, because it's not helpful anymore. It was not helpful a long time ago, and right now it's irrelevant. And second thing, they must unlearn to focus only on one narrow discipline, because within discipline, knowledge can be summarized. This is where AI is progressing, but being really cross-disciplinary, open-minded creator, this is something where we are far from in terms of technologies.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you. Atiye, what would you say about this question?
Focusing on embracing the challenges and growth mindset and cultivating resilience can help them to succeed.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Conrad. I'll come to you now.
Okay, so I'll just add, yes, perfectly, what my fellow panelists have said, that I feel that they should probably unlearn the assumption that technology always provides the perfect answers. So really the skill lies in questioning, in interpreting, in integrating, the AI output along with human judgment. So that aspect of critical adaptive thinking, is always required. I feel that will outperform, these focus on blind automation.
Mm-hmm. All right, perfect. Thank you. And Amani, last but not the least, what would your take be on this question?
Yeah, so I think students must unlearn that intelligence means thinking like a better algorithm. I would say that based on what we see right now, people that are going or basically future success belongs to those who think like better humans. So ones that are creative, that are ethically engaged, and that are comfortable with ambiguity.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So, okay, very quickly, I'll summarize. I mean, maybe I make some mistakes because I was framing questions and also writing the answers. But what we realized from today's discussion, obviously, is that one, it is what it is. We are in this AI era. It's not going anywhere. Of course, that's the reality of the world. However, the problem is many stakeholders other than the big technology companies are not sure what AI is and how we can use it in the best possible way. So, of course, it creates a lot of confusions, a lot of dissonance, and a lot of issues for people to kind of ponder upon. We as educators and as people who work at the universities train the upcoming generation of workforce. So, of course, we have the responsibility to make sure that the upcoming generation has the right skills to be employed. Or to have the right skills to have sustained employment in the future, right? And one big element of that is obviously AI. But interestingly, the last question was, while we are teaching people about AI and all that, we need to stop our reliance on particular tools, particular technologies, and rather think of these as tools that are embedded into this overarching skill set. Things like system thinking or things like strategic thinking, or cross-cutting across different disciplines and stuff like that. It's also important to have a focus on fairness, on ethicality, on sustainability, and at the same time, not getting lost into the artificialness of artificial intelligence, rather bringing the humanness into this so people can actually use it as a tool to question it in a better way. Metacognitive learning was a brilliant example there. And then I also liked, as one of the panelists said, that while we are using these tools in order to have better success for business, it's also important to define what actually business success is and then run after that. And last question, interesting, the things that students should unlearn, which I don't think many panelists talk about. So many of them are, what you should learn. Here we are talking about what you should unlearn is learning by heart or memorizing things, because that's not going to work anymore. Focusing on one discipline shouldn't be there. So thinking about multiple disciplines or interdisciplinary nature of problems that we face in today's world. Also understanding that technology cannot always provide the correct answers, or the answers that are provided by the technology or AI are not always the best answers. So it's important that we question them and we think around AI, and then at the end embracing the challenges. So I think I kind of covered and summarized most of the stuff that was said in the panel. One more time, thank you so much to everybody. You guys have been brilliant, and I think there's a lot to learn from what we discussed in today's panel. Thank you so very much.